bridge or something, so it's a bit of wood with blocks underneath, so actually resting on that. The other way is, which is what I tend to use, is to make a permanent mask. So I was just looking for my original drawing, I can't find it. If you have the original drawing, you'd lift that up on the glass and just go around the outline and then cut it out. I'll just do this here. So you don't go right up to the line, you have about a millimetre, 5 millimetres outside the line. Because over the course of the painting, you're going to be abrading the icon quite a lot, so this protects it.
Abrading the gold.
Abrading the gold, yeah. Sort of dropping it off.
The gold off.
You can do it much more accurately if you got your actual drawing.
So if you don't, you can have a bridge drawing instead.
You can have a general suit drawing, yeah. Have a personal drawings or cloth. I just keep forgetting to put the cloth under my hand if I use a cloth and find that I've been resting my arm on the gold and the sweaty arm is hands got on the gold.
So any kind of soft cloth can rest on gold?
Yeah, as long as it's soft enough. And then with mask and tape, you just stick that on and it's there for the whole course of the icon painting. As I've often said, there are many ways of doing things. This is just one way. Having scraped off the excess gold, you'll have to take this off, take the dust away and put it back down again. So this is, you need to do this twice.
What sort of weight of paper is that you're using?
That's 80, isn't it?
Yeah. Is it a photocopy sort of paper or
yeah, it's all
paper?
yeah. Okay. So the two tools I found best are a squared end one. That's for cutting up right up to the edge. And then for getting the bulk off, a slightly rounded one. Okay. You can buy these just as straight scalpel blades, and you fit them into this is called an X-Acto knife. X-Acto knives come with blades, so you can use an X-Acto blade. The advantage of it being slightly curved is that when you're scraping, you haven't got an edge digging in. Whereas if you scraped everything with that, the edge would dig in. On the other hand, that's not quite accurate enough to cut right up to the edge. There's always a danger, the point would really go in deeply. Now for that to work, it needs to be sharp, but have a bit of a burr. What I mean by a burr is that the if the edge is like, that's the edge of it. So you want that sharp, but it's even better if it has a slight burr. Now this a little bit like that. So when you scrape, this sort of cuts better if there's a bit of a burr there. So this is a diamond sharpener here, quite an expensive one, but you can use carborundum paper, your 1200 paper if you like.
What is that little tool you called that you're using?
Well, this is called a lino cutter, I think.
Okay, I was thinking it looks like a wood engraving.
Yeah, well, wood engraving, same thing, yeah. Now, if you rub your finger on the across like that, you'll feel the burr.
Wooden what?
Wood engraving.
Wood
yes.
Only some places sell them individually. It's easily sets of 6, which have one flat one, but that's an expensive way to go.
Because someone actually gave me a packet of
right.
wood engraving tools because they knew I carved wood. But I don't
So actually rub your finger like that and you'll feel the burr on the flat edge. See that? If you were sharpening a carving chisel, having gone like that, with the strop you'll take that burr off, but you actually want the burr on. Perhaps scratch a bit. And the sharper the tool, the better. If it's blunt, you've got to push hard and you lose control. And also you'll you'll dig too deep in, you're deeper in than you really need. And you'll have to sharpen that every few minutes, really. So when you cut, you pull this way, and it's the vertical side. If you went like that, sort of that side like that, it wouldn't cut it well. So you're cutting in that direction. Okay. So you're really at right angles to the. You get it in the light so you can see your line clearly, and scrape off to that line. If you have really large areas of gold to take off, then you can use sandpaper. Like if you had a big blot here, just use sandpaper. 600 is fine. Sharpen up on the edge there. When you sharpen, you want to make sure that it's at right angles. If you sharpen it like that, as it were, when you're trying to cut in, that's your gold, that's your board, and it's to say you want to cut off to there. If you've got your chisel like that, you won't be able to cut accurately there, so you want a nice right angle to cut exactly on that edge. So when you're sharpening, don't get all lazy and go like that. You'll make a curved end. You want to have a really perfect right angle. Okay. So I'm about 4 millimeters in. And now I'll finish off with that.
So you do the inner first?
Yeah, but with the square one you go up to the line. This is just more accurate, and then you can finish off with this.
Okay, and it doesn't. What about scraping the gesso? This is what's bothering me.
Well, because this is curved, so that's the gesso. Because this is curved, like that, you're not going to. If you scrape like that, you'll end up with grooves like that.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have a gesso slightly cut like that, but that doesn't matter. It's all going to be painted. You won't notice. As long as you don't press too hard. The sharper it is, the less pressure, and the easier it will be to take the gold off. So the less dipping you've got.
And if you're having trouble finding your original line to scratch back to,
then you've got to, the simplest thing is to photocopy your original drawing onto tracing paper and then situate it perfectly, tape it down, and then using your scriber, scribe through the tracing paper, that will engrave the line back on.
So that's just with water gilding there? It's not, you wouldn't engrave it round with the
No, because the engraving won't show through anyway with your gilding. All the gilding process blocks fills up the scratch.
Okay. Any
questions about that? When you paint, you can go over the gold a little bit, and I'll tell you about the mix to use for that when we actually start painting proper. It's straight egg tempera would bead. In other words, the gold resisted. You've got to add things like casein or something. Oxgold, I mean, yeah, people say that's supposed to resist, but I find it doesn't work that well. Yeah.
What about washing of gold with water?
Some will come off, but you won't be able to do it accurately.
Yeah, obviously,
the
not
gold.
the side,
Yeah.
I mean not the accurate edge, but if you have, like, for example, big...
Get a stiffer brush, like an ox or a hog brush or something. But large ears, just use sandpaper if you like. It's a bit of a folded sandpaper, 600.
Could you show again how you sharpen it?
This one.
Yeah.
So the main thing is not to let it rock, otherwise you'll get that curved end.
Okay.
And about 30 degrees.
Okay.
You want the end at about 30 degrees. Just go around like that. the bigger the movement, the more likely you are to end up rocking. So I find a smaller movement better. You just keep feeding the end. And if you keep sharpening beyond what's necessary, then you're going to wear down the chisel a lot earlier than its full life. So you keep feeling the edge. Just see if you've got that bit. When you've got the bit, you can stop. It's almost there. If you can't get these, then you can get, that's a big X-Acto knife, it's a smaller one. It does come with different blades. Personally, I found them a lot a bit too flexible, so you're trying to cut this, they're bending all over the place. But a good quality one will be quite stiff. But most of them have the blades a bit too wide, so you're trying to cut in there, but you're sort of cutting there as well. So a narrow one is a bit better. Okay. So since you're already here, I'll demonstrate deceased now, because that's something you can do when you're waiting around for things. Here's my paper. We've done deceased practices, haven't we? Yeah. So you know the principles of a point getting fatter, and when it comes up to meet something like that, it's got to go right in. It can't sort of get thinner coming up to that. So starting at the point, getting evenly thicker, each of these darts really being completely covered by that, not thinning up. They're the principles. If you read my book, that has a lot of information about other techniques, but for our purposes here, we'll use acrylic gold size. I briefly mentioned yesterday the advantages and disadvantages of that. So, could you bring your bit of red over? I'll just demonstrate. Now, acrylic gold size sets very quickly, and it can ruin your brush. So, a wonderful trick of the trade. Thank you. So, I want you all to just a bit of red ochre or something, get some card, not paper, but paper crinkle. Get some card and just paint like that, and do these exercises here. So, the first thing is decant a bit. You want a lot of control about where you put your brush. So obviously, if you put it in me, you won't know how far the brush is, and you'll wreck your brush and have tried too much size on. So the advantages of acrylic gold size is that it remains open almost indefinitely. And because it's water-based, it flows nicely, so you find it very easy to use. I tried oil size, and I've used it for a whole lot of icons I did on copper. It had to be quite robust, and oil size is quite robust. But the trouble with that is that the size will dry quickly at the end, won't it? Because it's got a lot of edge, but not a lot of mass. So by the time, say, this is ready for gilding, that would have dried, and the gold won't stick. So that's the problem with oil size. There are ways around it, but my guess is that the size they used in the old days, in my grandtime times, was a bit different, because research on old deceased indicates that a lot of it was done with oil size, but it was really, really crisp, so somehow they got around it. But I think you could experiment with that. But for our purposes, we'll use this. So if I just use that straight off, this would clog up my brush very quickly, and it's irreversible. Once it's begun to set, you can't reverse it with water, so you have to chuck the brush away. But also it means that when you're painting, your brush is getting in worse and worse condition, so the lines get worse and worse. But if you get the dishwashing liquid, rub it into your hairs, like that, and just leave it. That provides a coating around the hairs, so it keeps it in good condition. Still, about every 5 minutes, you need to wash it out with water, recoat it, and carry on painting. Okay. So for this, you want a good brush that's got a bit of a bowl, and a really good point. A short brush will create problems when you've got a nice long line that sort of run out toward the end. So a designer's brush about 2, number 1, 2 is a good one. Only stick your brush in about a third, and do it in a position where you can see the reflection. To get a good result, you need to really get your brush strokes correct first time. It's not a disaster if you've got to do it again, but it's less likely to be effective if you've got to make each of these twice. So you can just see it, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not easy to see, but you've got to make sure that the angle is such that you can see where you're going. Okay. So after 20 minutes, we can put gold leaf, loose, it must be loose leaf, not transfer. Transfer, you've got to press it down and it creates lots of problems. So this loose leaf, we'll lay it down, and then with a stiff brush, could you wash that up for me quickly? Thank you. You want a stiff brush, this is ideal, because if you have a really soft brush, the gold won't break off. So you've got your gesso ball there, you've got your size, you've got your gold leaf on top. You want to break off the gold leaf there. See what I mean? If it's a really soft brush, it won't break it off, but a stiff brush will really snap it off. So the best I've found is, it's probably drying, it's half sable, half synthetic. And you really work it. If you just brush gently, you'll have all these bits flapping, if that's the size, you'll have the gold sort of flapping off the edge, so you won't get a nice crisp edge. So you've really got to work it, even sort of go like that. The gold is quite strong, it's thin, but it's really strong. So you really have to work it at all angles to break all the extra gold off, so you have gold only where the size is. That's a very simple process. So to recap,
How long does that, would you be able to do that after you've painted the lines, or how soon?
really 20 minutes, about 3 days. This remains open for a long time, so you can paint it on, and you could do it the next day, even and the gold will still stay.
Wow.
That long?
Yeah, it just stays open for.
Brushing it up there.
Oh, I wouldn't advise it, but I mean.
And you
that's
wouldn't
about
put
it.
any chalk under?
If you paint it properly, it won't stick. Yeah. If you've got too much egg in your paint, it may stick. The reason for chalk with the Russian method is that you really got to press it hard, and that will make it stick to the paint. But this, you put it on lightly, it will stick to that. You don't need to press hard.
And how long after you put the gold on do you brush it off? Straight away?
Almost straight away.
Straight away.
Why do they glaze of egg for those? The diluted egg, will that make the gold stick to it? Or?
It should be right, yeah. It's not glassy, is it? If it was shiny and glossy, show there's too much egg in it, might stick. But that does okay. So just to recap, first thing is decant a bit, rub a bit of dishwashing liquid in, stick your brush in about a third, and make your lines as accurate as possible. After 20 minutes or more, loose gold leaf, you've got to use your water gilding techniques, cut the gold, put on, and then brush vigorously with, a sabre will do them, the sabre brush will do the trick. But a flat one is probably the most efficient one rather than the pointed brush.
So when you say you've got to cut the gold, would you cut an area of the little delicate
Yeah, like
lines?
if you're doing this, really they're so dense, you just cut a big thing like that.
And put it
And,
on.
yeah, if you try to sort of cut each one,
I was
it
just going to
just
say.
wastes so much. Waste time and gold.
So then you put it on, tamp it down,
Yeah, you just very, very gently tap it down. But
and then straight away with a stiff brush, and it would stick. Wow. Okay.
But you can
And
have-
after 20 minutes of,
Yeah.
sorry,
we'll
20
find
minutes
out.
after you apply, you can work.
yeah,
And until 24 hours?
at least, yeah. But this remains open for ages. Yeah. Yeah. Water-based gold size, ready to gild in about 15 minutes, but will remain open indefinitely, it says, and yeah, next day even. Yeah.
Can you use bread to?
Now, the other technique is used in Russia is where you boil up kvass, which is fermented
That's the
rye
one.
bread and apples?
It's not kvass actually. I think it's beer.
Beer,
the
okay, beer,
dark
okay.
beer.
the
Yeah, dark beer, yeah. So the
that's what you
equivalent
know.
here is Guinness. So what you do is you boil up Guinness in a double boiler until it's almost like Vegemite. And then you do your ceast with that. You've got to add a bit of water to make it workable, basically it's that.
Has to be right consistency.
Yeah,
To apply.
and then if you just put the gold on that, it wouldn't stick. So you've got to reactivate it. It's very much like the faulting we did. You've got to reactivate it by blowing on it, putting the gold down, and then pressing on it. So what they do in Russia is they get rye bread and knead it, pick up the gold with that, and push it down. With faulting, we'd use loose gold leaf and then cotton wool. You could probably do that if you wanted as well. But because you have to press hard, there's a danger it will stick to your painting. So that's why they tend to dust with, what do you dust it with?
With chalk,
Chalk,
we
yeah.
don't press too hard because otherwise you
Yeah.
flatten the lines and you
Yeah,
end up
yeah.
with very thick lines.
Yeah.
So you just press
So press is-
slightly.
Yeah,
Sounds
just-
incredibly complex. No?
And
I
you
think it's
apply actually from the leaf gold, so you don't use any bread.
You don't use the loose leaf gold. You
Okay.
just you
Oh,
have
you do
your
that,
gold
okay.
on
Oh, right.
on,
Okay.
Transfer
and
gold from
therefore
the
it
gold
just
paper.
kind
Fine, okay. Yeah, so
less
just-
danger for the gold to fly out and fly
Okay,
around.
okay. What other techniques? Yeah, so there are three main. One is oil size, one is acrylic size, one is the boiled beer technique. The fourth is, if you want to get a cease lines, is using what's called shell gold. Shell gold is basically watercolour made with gold powder. That's what it is effectively. So you paint that on with gum arabic. It comes with gum arabic. For that to work, it's got to be really good quality, and the stuff you buy isn't good enough quality. The gold is not fine enough.
Do you make it yourself?
I haven't, but that thing where you to go
Oh, if you
really.
make it yourself, it's really
Yeah.
nice and you
Yeah.
can bench texture.
Yeah. So to make it yourself, you just get lots of gold leaf and put gum arabic and water in and just for like 6 hours rather than
Lots of
keeping
fun.
Not 6 hours, 1 hour.
I think to get really fine, you need to go long.
Yeah.
To get,
No, a couple of hours maybe. Yeah, not six, not
Yeah.
6.
And then you paint it on it. But it's not fixed very well with gum arabic, so really you need to
I know
sort
what
of
happens
seal
if you've
it.
done that in he blesses the icon.
It runs, yeah.
Yeah, but you seal the icon afterwards, so shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, but if you haven't sealed your icon.
You don't do that. You don't
But
go
you need-
anywhere
but
near
you-
water with your icon.
But you need to wait, no? Like
Yeah,
a
but
year
you
before
wait
you
for a
can.
year.
Depends what it's sealed with, yeah. But I've had an instance where I've had my icon sealed and it dried, I thought, and blessed it, and Father was very generous with his blessing. And yeah, it just went through gold and through bowl and
Oh, must be.
Okay, so
but yeah, be careful. Gold and water don't.
so I'm just going to check the
Like each
icon
other.
now because
Thanks
with this
for that
hot
tip.
weather, thank you very much indeed, it could be ready to gild. So